Hello and welcome to the Red Jacket Club. My name is Andy. I'm here with my friend Brendan, and this is where we talk Cardinals baseball. It's a dark, cold, and gloomy day in St. Louis, and it's dark, cold, and gloomy in the Cardinals clubhouse. There's a lot of stuff going on in Cardinals news, and it's just really unfortunate the start of the season that we're seeing. But it is only 5, 6 games in. We'll see how things go. But before we get into that, Brendan, I know you had some traveling this week, but how you feeling? What's going on? What are your thoughts as we get the season started?
Yeah, a ton of traveling, man. I've been super busy. I was in Kansas City, which I was able to catch a Kansas City versus Blue Jays game. So I followed the Blue Jays straight across the state, watched them play in Kansas City. They did not impress, by the way. Kansas City kicked their ass. I forget the score, but it was double digits to a very small digit. But yeah, we left a little bit early because it was, I don't know. I don't normally leave games early, especially if it's Cardinals. That's kind of one of my rules. But it was a Kansas City game. I was not interested in it. So I don't know. It was good, but man, I've been busy just driving. Just got back, so now we're hopping right onto the pod. But before all that, before the baseball talk begins, I got an update, which only one update this time. I'm not even going to look at the Blues right now because I think their season's pretty much over at this point. But the Battlehawks, they did win their game on Sunday because we recorded an early episode on Sunday, so I wasn't able to give an update here. They won 24-15 against Houston. That brings their record to 5-2. They are still tied with the Seattle Sea Dragons. They just won't slow down, apparently. And the Defenders finally pick up their first loss. So we're still second in the XFL North. Seems like we have a really good division because in the XFL South, they got 3 teams below 500. So we've got a tough division there. But, yeah, that's just a quick update on St. Louis sports.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a fun time to be a St. Louis sports fan, man. I mean, even though the Blues aren't playing very well, they're getting to the point where they will be, I think, set up at least to make a good draft pick or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
retooling.
they're set up to retool. The Battlehawks are doing well. St. Louis City is just incredible, which is great. For the new, so it's great. And I mean, it stinks that baseball's starting off on such a sour note, which I guess we can just jump right into with some Cardinals news. The first quick hit to get out of the way is Lars Nootbaar. He hit the 10-day IL retroactively, so I think his stay on the IL goes back to the 31st of March or something like that. They called up Juan Yepes to fill his spot for the time being, but it's still that jammed thumb from the opening day game. And, it just kind of stinks. Coming into the season, he was the hottest ticket item other than Shohei Ohtani. So it stinks that he's on the IL and can't really get to contribute to the games as much as I'm sure he wants to. But he's still out there shaking some salt and, doing his thing. Any thoughts on the move to bring up Yepes over, I guess, anybody else that's down in the minors right now?
It definitely makes sense. We know Yepes is going to contribute to this team this year. Just really not a roster spot for him. The day of that you were kind of talking a little bit down on Burleson, he hits what exactly did you do? A home run and a double, maybe?
Burleson, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So Burleson went off, so we kind of see the value that we wanted there. But anyway, I got off on a tangent. Juan Yepes makes sense. And then when it comes to Nootbaar, it's a long season. I'm sure the trainers were like, hey, we know you can play, but let's just get you on the IL, get you some extra days rest, and then you'll be out there in no time.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And, I don't think there's really any injury news. It sounds like Waino was getting some bullpens in, which is good news. Some progress, there, but still not making his way back into the rotation quite yet. We'll talk about the rotation soon, but there's obviously a big looming story, and I'm glad that we've had a couple of days to sit on it and see what came of it. And that's the story of Tyler O'Neill and Oliver Marmol, our manager and our was starting center fielder. Don't know where that's going to lead, but to recap quickly, obviously, I'm sure everybody's heard of it and seen it, but there was a play at the plate late in the game. I believe it was in the 7th inning of game 2, somewhere around there. And O'Neill was on second. Donovan was batting, and he ropes a line drive into right field. And Tyler O'Neill, I mean, from the looks of it, from the very beginning of it, didn't think that he would go any further than third base. But when he took a look up, he saw that Pop Warner was sending him home, and he took a turn. And the big thing that stood out to me is that he turned and looked for the throw from Ronald Acuna Jr., which I'm sure he knew the whole way that Acuna was going to get him out. And sure enough, he did. Immediately, Twitter was like, what was Tyler O'Neill doing? It didn't seem like he was running at all. And that was my first impression. It didn't seem like he was really busting it out. His words are that he said that he was grinding his ass off, and he doesn't think that any kind of decharacterization of his effort is warranted, but that's sure enough where Oliver Marmol went. Immediately into the press room, Ollie said that was a lack of hustle and it was unacceptable. He thought he would leave it there, but then going into the next game, Wednesday morning, he cuts O'Neill from the lineup, and he says that there's a standard of play that we have for the Cardinals, and if you don't meet it, you're not going to play. A lot of mixed communication because O'Neill said that was a scheduled day off, which is really weird if Marmol's then doubling down and saying that he's not meeting the standard, so that's why he got benched. But O'Neill's saying that it was because it was a scheduled day off. Who knows? A lot of different variables here, a lot of different things that are kind of messed up going into Wednesday that kind of really bugged me. But Brendan, since you weren't in town, you didn't watch the game, but you kind of saw everything aftermath. I wanted to get your opinion on this because I know that you're currently coaching at the high school level. Obviously, this is contentious in terms of how coaches go about dealing with their players. Give me a little bit of your thoughts on O'Neill in general. What if you were able to see the play and how maybe or Ollie handled it? Did he handle it correctly?
So the very first thing, I'm just going to say it, man, this is absolutely ridiculous from Oliver Marmol, in my opinion. Curious to see what your take is, but this is not how you go about being a manager. As you guys, some people might remember back in June of last year, in 2022, Marmol called out Harrison Bader for lack of hustle. Harrison Bader took it. He took it well. And then I guess he got better. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but he played this card before. And that's the weirdest thing about it. It's like, okay, dude, you played this card before, so why do you feel the need to play it again? I watched the clip, so all these headlines are going around. Okay, I see the headlines. I got to see the clip. I watched the clip. Okay, why are we sending him? And I know
that's the biggest question, man. Why do we send him?
That's beside the point when it comes to this kind of, but like, why is the coaching staff not taking responsibility? Now, to go back to last season, why did Marmol not take responsibility for not taking Ryan Helsley out when he clearly should have in the playoffs?
Yep.
It's like, if you're going to give this responsibility to a player where he had a mental error, then why don't you own up to your own mental mistakes, especially when it comes to losing us a playoff game? And I know I'm just going to go off on more of a tangent. As a coach, you asked me that. And yeah, man, it's equivalent to me going up to the parents and saying, hey, one of these kids, and saying the name, didn't hustle today. He's going to be benched tomorrow. It's like, that's just not how you handle it. You go, you take this situation like a man, and you talk to O'Neill face to face. And I think O'Neill has every single right to say some of the things that he did. O'Neill said that it should have been handled differently, and I totally agree. I mean, right now as it stands, you can tell I'm very passionate about this. I've already had a weird feeling about Marmol, and I always defend managers. I don't blame managers for a lot, but as it stands right now, in my opinion, may change in the future. I do not like Oliver Marmol.
Yeah, the doubling down really bugged me. because especially because I don't know. Obviously, I don't know if it was a scheduled day off, but if it was, that's what O'Neill's saying. Then why are you saying that it's not because he played to your standard of play? Like if Carlson was supposed to play that day and O'Neill was supposed to have a day off, then I don't understand how you then come in and tell the media that it's because he wasn't playing to your standard. The other thing is like you said, there's been some errors, two errors that we'll talk about, one a little bit later, but Pop Warner, there's no reason to send Tyler O'Neill. I know Ollie said that it's not O'Neill's call to make. It doesn't compute to him that O'Neill. It sucks that they both have O in their name. That Ollie or that O'Neill has a hamstring problem, and he's like, it doesn't compute to me that players want to stay on the field for 160 games. Meaning that although O'Neill has an injury issue that he's worried about, he should not double guess or second guess Pop Warner's send. But at the same time, it's wet out. Acuna has a cannon. So even if the ball's wet, you have to assume that he's going to get it to home. 2 hops, 1 hop, he's going to get it there. And 3, like there's no way it's just not a good send. That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
which is the problem is that the whole thing is being blown off on O'Neill to say that he second guessed his third base coach, which he did. I'm not going to deny that because there's no reason you also get the signal and then look at the throw. I mean, that's just something that you learn even I'm sure you're teaching your kids now. Like you can't look at the throw, but at the same time, like this whole play is terrible. And then it's only worse that Ollie just starts doubling down and saying that O'Neill it's all on O'Neill.
Yeah, and the other thing we have to keep in mind, I mean, game situation, man. Like as a coach, if the score's
that run doesn't matter.
If the score's 4-1, we got to get a rally going. What is the point of sending him? If it's the go-ahead run, then go ahead run. And I don't want to. I don't know if there maybe some lack of hustle there, sure, whatever. But like, I don't know. I just don't see how he can make that big of a deal of it, and to the media. Like, what is that gonna accomplish? It worked. Like I said, it worked for Bader, but like this is a whole different situation.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting. MLB Network was talking about it before the game. They televised Wednesday's game, and I can't remember who it was. I wish I had taken a note of his name, but there was a guy who was a coach for the Houston Astros. And he said that this kind of similar situation happened with Jose Altuve. And what he did was Jose didn't run out a pop-up or something like that. And what he said is that Jose, I'm not playing. Like he called Jose into his office and told him that he's not going to play him today. And he's like, I'm not going to play you unless I know that I'm going to get everything out of you. And that caused Altuve to just bow out, say okay. But he came back into the office. He said, "No, coach, you got to let me play." He's like, "I'm Jose Altuve. How are you not going to play me?"
Yeah.
And the coach said, "You have to go ask your teammates whether or not they'll accept that style of play." And when I heard him say that, I was like, "Dude, that is perfect." I mean, that's perfect. That's like dad sitting you down and explaining exactly why you did something wrong to your sister or your brother or whatever, and you have to go to apologize to them. Like it's parenting. It's like
deal with it. But it's, deal with it as a team. You know?
Right. And at first I was like, good. Ollie's setting a precedent. Like it sounds like he's saying this is our standard. Here it is. Then he benched him, and I was like, okay, I guess that's his setting the standard. And then all this other stuff spiraled out of control, and it's really not a good look for Ollie, which is unfortunate because now we're on a 3-game losing streak. It obviously doesn't help the team morale. Who knows if that really did come into play? I think it helped some, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before that, I mean, with all the doom and gloom, there is one kid who really shined, and he's been shining since he came up into the league. It's really crazy what Jordan Walker's been doing, and I think we just might as well get out of the sourness and into some happy talk and talk about Jordan Walker in this week's Jordan Walker Watch. So Jordan Walker has had he had a great series. Whether or not it's wrapped in this terrible news cycle, it's still incredible that he was able to do one of the best achievements that any power hitter can have, and he got his first home run out of the way. We were talking about it last week, I think, and we were talking about how he just needed to make a quick adjustment, and it still seems like that launch angle isn't there yet. But at the same time, he found the pitch that he wanted and he got it. He made the adjustment in game 3 and then came back around again in the order and had a RBI double. So that third game was big for him. Really brought him onto the scene. MLB's making hype videos about him. It's pretty great to watch. He's also sitting at third place in the entire league. I'm going to use one of your stats, Brendan.
Yeah, I've got some more after you dig into it.
13 hard hit balls over 100 miles per hour. So that's third in all of MLB. This kid's 20 years old. He's smacking the crap out of the ball, and it's pretty great to watch.
Yeah, so this is where I was going to dig into. Yeah, 13 hard hit balls, right? But out of how many? You know, if he had hundreds of at-bats and whatever, but this is 13 out of 21 hit and play. And that's over 100 miles an hour. You know, you still got a 95-mile-an-hour hit in there. So we're only counting in the 100 miles an hour plus. 13 out of 21 balls hit and play are hit over 100 miles an hour. That is a insane stat. Like I said the last episode, this is very small adjustments for him to start hitting those home runs and those gap doubles, which we totally saw on yesterday. Yeah,
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yes.
Wednesday. Days are running together, dude.
I know, it's traveling. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, yeah, yesterday on Wednesday, we saw his first home run, which nice, easy swing. Didn't even look like he tried. Just hit it right to left field.
Yeah, it was a bullet, dude.
A bullet. And he just such a sweet swing. It's so easy for him. And then double in the gap. So, yeah, I mean, he's looking great. I mean, we're going to continue to watch this guy play, and he just seems like a spark plug for this offense.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it really kind of because it was at the end of the game, we already lost, so I feel like it was something that could be a spark plug going into Milwaukee. But with that, we'll get back into the doom and gloom.
Yep.
Do you want to give a 30-second recap, or should we just go into the series as it was?
I can. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and talk about it. Yeah, next episode we'll get the 30-second recaps back.
Yeah, because I mean, you were just doing a lot of traveling this week. It's hard to. I mean, when you can't watch the games, how can you recap them? You know.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But we'll talk about the long. We'll go into the long and dirty of it. So, pitching, Brendan. We said going into the season, pitching's fine. Why do we need to worry about pitching? I think we may have been wrong.
Yeah, this early for sure. Yeah.
It is early. It's certainly early. But, I mean, there's just so many mistakes were being made. And you could tell that it was when guys were kind of getting lost with their stuff. They didn't know what to do with it. So everything just was up middle. And either up in the zone. And it's kind of crazy that it's happening to everybody. It's happening to Mikolas. It's happening to Woodford. It's happening to Matz. Flaherty, I mean, he's just not going to put the ball in the strike zone. So that way he can have a no-hitter going. But, yeah, whenever these guys – and if you're going to do that to the Braves, man, you're going to get rocked. So that's something that stood out to me. I don't know about you. One other thing that Katie Wu pointed out was that after the first run of the rotation, the Cardinals had not recorded a quality start. So that's a start of 6 innings in under 3 earned runs, and we have not been able to do that. So that's pretty upsetting. Thoughts on pitching?
Yeah, obviously pitching, it was the question mark coming into the season, even though you and I, defended it as much as we can. But, I mean, it is early, and I was trying to find something which it would probably take a while to dig up, but I really feel like April is a big offensive month, and I could be totally wrong. I just feel like teams come out and offense is good early in the year of MLB. So I think as we go, we'll see the pitchers get better, hopefully. But with that being said, in each one of these games, we did give up runs in the first inning, which is always puts your team down. And then on the game on Monday, we gave up 6 runs in the first 2 innings. Those were all charged to Jake Woodford. He went 4 1/3, 6 runs. And then let's go game to game. In Tuesday, Matz, he let up 2 runs in the first inning. So same thing, just didn't have a good start. And then in the first 3 innings, we gave up 4 runs. And those were all charged to Matz as well. And then that trend continues. In yesterday's game on Wednesday, 3 runs in the first inning, and those were charged to Mikolas. Mikolas ended with 6 innings, 5 earned. So yeah, I mean, pitching has been an issue these last 3 games, but you also got to tip your cap, man. The Braves are a really good team.
Braves are so good, dude.
They are a really good team, and they're kind of, I don't want to say underrated because they're rated very well, but like you don't really think of the Braves being, where they're at, let's say equal to the Astros type thing. But they're solid, man, and you got to tip your cap.
I mean, they did win the World Series. What was it, 2 years ago? They aren't that far off. And I mean, you don't make it the next year, but usually track record is you still have those guys, and we've talked about it. They've locked up a lot of young guys. Some of those people being Ronald Acuna Jr., who they have on the cheap, and then Austin Riley, and then Matt Olson. They have, he's not necessarily a young guy, but he is younger. But those 3 guys were the death of us in this series. Some other things that were the death of us: the Cardinals in Game 1 left 21 guys on base. That sucks. Yeah. When you got 12 hits, and what did we end up with? 4 runs.
Yes, 4 runs in that game.
Right, and then you got 21 possible other runs. That's demoralizing. It doesn't also help when Hicks starts to suffer. It's good to see that people like Packy, Naughton, Drew, VerHagen, and your guy Zack Thompson.
Zack Thompson, yep.
We have Connor Thomas, Zack Thompson.
Yeah.
Zack Thompson, those 3 guys coming out of the pen have looked really well, or looked really good. And I don't understand why we continue to go to Hicks if we have those 3 options.
Hey, man, I told you, Chris Stratton's out there. We got to get him in those high leverage roles.
He pitched well in Game 3.
Yeah, yep. Scoreless inning, I believe. But yeah, when it comes to Zack Thompson, really quick, knock on wood, but in 2023, he still has yet to give up a run. We talked about how he had 9 or so innings in spring training without giving up a run, and goes an inning and 2/3, no runs, 1 walk, and 2 Ks. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe he can kind of develop this year and be an elite force in the bullpen.
For sure. Yeah, and it's really good when they have those options, because, I mean, when guys go down, we have some young talent that'll fill in those roles. In Game 2, though, what really stood out to me, besides the O'Neal of it all, I was listening to some post-game recaps, and Matz was in the clubhouse, and one thing that really pissed me off was that he shook off Wilson Contreras twice in the game, and those 2 were first inning home runs.
Oh.
And he's like, it really sucks that's what happened, but those were the pitches I was feeling. And so, I don't know, it's just kind of a metaphor, I guess, for the starting pitching in general. These guys, I mean, they have so much riding on them. They need to set the tone for the game, but it's kind of interesting. This is another thing that Katie Wu said, is that the Cardinals aren't really filling out a good vibe check or something like that. I'm not a very big vibe person, Brendan. I don't know if you could tell.
I'm a big vibe guy.
But it did really stand out to me that the Cardinals don't really feel like a unit. Have you kind of experienced that? I've really kind of seen the Cardinals are kind of struggling to come together. I don't know. How are you feeling in that kind of regard?
I really think it's too early to have those kind of takes. I mean, we are so early in the season.
Yeah,
We're
but I'm talking about just working together because I mean, even though the it is early, you kind of the trust doesn't seem there. You got Ollie spitting on O'Neill. You got, I mean, Paul Goldschmidt kind of looks out of body. It's just kind of a lot of things on the field that don't look like the normal Cardinals, the magical Cardinals that we had last year. I mean, it just seemed like, and maybe a lot of that was Albert Pujols, but it just seemed like every time that there was a mounting comeback, it happened. It is early, but most of those mounting comebacks in this series got quashed, and it just seemed like there wasn't much momentum coming out of the Cardinals dugout.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how you think that. I mean, obviously the clubhouse does not benefit from the whole Marmol thing. That probably puts a huge, I don't know, it feels like a cancer in the clubhouse when you kind of do something like that, because then people get afraid to like have fun, like
Yeah.
around Marmol at least. They're
I
probably
mean,
like,
especially when Jordan Walker hits a home run like the day after, like it just seems like that everybody, even though like that's such a happy moment, like it seems dour. And maybe that's because I spend too much time on Twitter, but I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. They'll get into their own, I wouldn't worry about it. And I know you kind of think that maybe they're not gelling, and they probably aren't. They just got to go through some adversity together, and then I think we'll be fine. We have enough like veteran leadership to where it's not going to spiral out of control.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching the Royals this weekend, this week, I was like, the reason why they're not good is they don't have any veteran leadership. You got Vinny
Yeah.
Pasquantino and Bobby Witt. Yes, sure, they're great, but how great can they be without leadership? So
They just got Perez. That's really about it.
yeah, that's it. And he's on his way out pretty soon. So it's like the Cardinals have that leadership presence that want to win. Goldschmidt and Arenado and Contreras, they're not going to accept losing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be just fine. It's just a little bit of
That's a good point.
adversity we got to overcome. And it's a good team in the Braves. So let's go and bring some fire to Milwaukee.
I agree. And I guess to just wrap it up and talk about the series that will be, it looks like the pitching matchups have been announced. It sounds like tomorrow night, Flaherty is going to go up against Woodruff, which stinks that we come off of a series sweep and we then have to go bad against Woodruff. But
Yeah.
sometimes the Cardinals can get to him. If you get to him early, that's obviously the best option there. Montgomery is going to go up against Lauer, and then Woodford will go up against Peralta. Last year, Peralta got rocked by the Cardinals, so I'm hoping that continues.
Who
But
did you say
thoughts?
pitches game one again?
Brandon Woodruff.
For us.
Oh, Jack Flaherty.
Flaherty, I think you might have said Woodford. Did you?
I will check the tape, but
Okay.
I'm going to say I said Flaherty.
Okay, maybe I zoned out or something. But yeah, I mean, first off, we got to see Flaherty. I mean, we got to see him throw strikes. He knows what to work on. He's a professional pitcher.
Mhm.
And then, honestly, man, offense needs to keep doing what they're doing. I think the hits will fall in the situations that we need them to. We just got to keep hitting.
Yeah, that's the other thing about this series is the Cardinals were hitting the crap out of the ball. It was just going either on the ground or right to somebody. So as soon as those hits start to find holes, I mean, I think this is a completely different news story. But one thing that I forgot to talk about before we wrapped up was the players of the series. We have a couple of guys that we really wanted to spotlight. And Brendan, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I do actually. So yeah, we're not doing Jordan Walker because we do our segment of Jordan Walker Watch. So my guy, which I probably would have picked anyway, Nolan Gorman, dude. He continues to impress me, and I've been kind of a broken record about him as well. And I tend to do that with players. Once I like them, I really like them. And Nolan Gorman's
Chris Stratton.
Chris Stratton. He was my favorite of the series. No, yeah, Nolan Gorman. He's carrying a 23% walk rate, small sample size, but he's walking, and that was a concern of last year. And that's what we saw in spring training. He had a really good eye and started to walk more. And then he's carrying an under 30% walk rate at 28%, or strikeout rate at 28%. And those are good numbers. If he can stick to those kind of numbers, then I'm really happy. And then to just show what he actually did, He did go 2 for 3 in the Monday game. And then let me pull up some other stuff. I thought I had something else. He didn't play on Tuesday, and then he played on Wednesday and went 1 for 4 with a double. So just some promising stuff with Gorman. We got to keep in mind he was a top prospect for us. So
yeah, he's getting overshadowed.
Yeah, he's gonna impress, man, and he's gonna continue to impress.
I think so too. My pick for this week, it was kind of slim pickings because, like I said, a lot of those hard hit balls were not falling for hits. And then the one guy that we can't pick because we already do Jordan Walker watch was Jordan Walker. So I'm going to go with Dylan Carlson because this is a guy, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. He's been tossed around, especially in the media. The Cardinals keep saying this guy's going to be the starting center fielder. Then they're like, we're going to trade him. Then they're like, no, we're going to use him as a utility guy. He's going to DH for us. He's going to do all this stuff. He's going to fill in the outfield. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. But after a day of craziness, it was his turn to play center field, and he showed why he should be out there. In my opinion, from the beginning of the season, I did not understand the talks of Tyler O'Neill in the outfield, regardless of what happened the other night. And I was full on Dylan Carlson, and he made 2 really great plays. One, he was like a million miles away from in the gap, and he ran over there and got it. Another one was a sinking fly ball that he was able to make a diving catch on. And I think he's just clearly our best option in center field. He did go 2 for 9, not great, but he did have a run scored. But when he is hitting the ball, he's hitting the ball hard. Like last year, we saw a lot of soft contact and a lot of rolling over. He's staying back and he's blowing through the baseball. And he just looks like a completely different player. He looks like he's got his head on his shoulders. He's got like 14 pounds of meat on him. He looks like a completely different player. So I hope that the Cardinals stop fooling around with him, really take into consideration him being the starting center fielder. And that's why I pick him for the player of the series this week. So
I do want to give a really quick honorable mention.
Go ahead.
And Arenado obviously is in there as well. But Paul Goldschmidt went 3 for 8 this series, and he was on base 3 times on Wednesday.
Yeah, he didn't register an at-bat, I think, until his last at-bat. He walked twice and then got hit by a pitch. So, yeah, I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, how can you not? I don't know. I kind of wanted to pick on the fringes, I guess.
Yeah. It's too easy. One of us would have Goldschmidt, and one of us would have Arenado.
And then we just flip throughout the whole season. Yep. Not much really happened around the league. Don't really care about the Rendon thing. It's done. Who cares? And baseball's back. It's opening week still. It sounds like things could be on the up and up. I mean, like we said, hopefully Walker's performance in the last game there would be kind of a spark plug, get these guys out of the funk that I think that they're in. Brendan thinks they're fine. We'll see.
Fine.
But other than that, man, I don't have much else. Glad that you're back in St. Louis. Stop going to Royals games because that's weird.
It's terrible. Trust me.
How is Kaufman? I want to go
cool.
because I think that they're gonna get rid of that soon or something like that.
I didn't know that, but I like the way it's laid out. Like, from the highway, it's a super open stadium, so you see all the seats. But that being said, there are like no seats there. Whenever you're actually inside, you're like, wow, that's tiny because there's no outfield seating. Yeah. The actual layout, I mean, they do it right. They bought a ton of land, so there's a bunch of parking. Parking was $30 though. It's kind of expensive. The stadium was sweet, but let's see, how should I say this? Stadium was cool. The amenities were cool, but the overall environment I give an F. I mean, the fans, there's no comparison. Whenever you go to a Cardinal game, it's just different. And you go to a Royals game and I don't even know how many fans there. I mean, maybe like 5,000. Like it was terrible. I mean, the environment and just the overall vibe of the game just wasn't fun.
That stinks. But I mean, it's always cool to see a stadium, especially one that's older like that. I mean, that stadium's got to be like 50 years old now. So it's one of the older ones in baseball. So And it's crazy that I haven't been over there yet. It's just 4 hours
I know.
away.
Yeah, I
So,
had to check mark that one off. It was an easy one to
right.
check off. So
Yeah. The only fan base that I've been able to even compare to the Cardinals was Dodgers fans. They're the only ones that I've seen actually show up when
yeah,
when I when I went to their games. So that was back in 2019 too. So Cody Bellinger was doing great. They obviously always have great players, but
hmm
they were just very into the game. Yeah, I can see what you mean though. I've been to different stadiums like Pirates. There's nobody there.
yeah.
Um,
It's
so
kind of sad, but it's just how it is, I guess.
yeah, sometimes it is what it is, and that's where we'll end it. I think if you haven't already, please like and subscribe the episode. That helps us out a lot. If you haven't subscribed, that also helps us out a lot because we're going to be doing this a whole lot. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and that you will find us everywhere else. You can find us on social media at red_jacket club, anywhere that you are on social media, basically. And that's it for the episode. I mean, I've had a good time, Brennan. I hope you had a good time. I hope we can see some winning baseball this weekend. Um, Again, like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching this far. Thank you for joining the club, and we'll see you next time.